Even this guy that sent this whole big thing in, I spent 3 minutes pulling on the threads. I like to pull on the threads of a story because chances are it's inflated. It's inflated. There's issues with the story. So.
What are you laughing about?
Just that dude. Like, if $100 is fucking too much, then don't go after the fucking eat.
Make a new fake account because your fake account's banned.
Yeah, it's like
there'll be 4 more in the next.
He already has 4 more.
He's got them on deck.
Jeff's got a good one. Jeff,
Are you ready for that one?
all their shit just is that thread's hanging there, and when you pull it, that whole pesky thing, called math. Like when your math doesn't fucking work.
I mean, I don't like to respond to these people because it just emboldens them to.
They'll do it more.
Do it more.
Put me in the fucking way then.
I mean, the reality is, a lot of times you have to get out of your bubble. Every one of us. I live in a bubble, and sometimes you have to poke your way out of that bubble and look at how the world really functions. An example is Temecula, California. I live in Temecula, California. It is very suburban, mostly white middle class.
What's that?
Temecula, and there's a drug problem that never seemed to surface in my little bubble of area because that was not my area of interest. So you think it doesn't exist, even though it really exists. And then I come here, and because the population is so much smaller,
that's why,
and condensed, and I don't want to say it's just because the population is smaller, and because it is a real problem. Everybody has a drug problem here for whatever reason. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Anyways, so what was this guy's name? Tank Buster 42 or
it's on
Ruckus?
Oh, it's not.
No,
there,
it's not on there.
I don't remember what his name is. He'll know who he is. He's watching.
Yeah, so anyways,
I promise he's watching right now.
So anyway, somebody responded to our video, and it's somebody that doesn't watch our videos, or they watch all of our videos. In which case, they would know.
That's probably more likely.
They would know that I've said this before. We don't have. There's not 25 guys out there with computers right now fact checking or looking at the latest statistics or stories or anything like that. Every one of these videos is off the cuff, meaning it's just John will come in here and he'll be like, blue cheese sandwich, whatever.
Blue cheese sandwich.
Yeah, French toast, whatever. What's your thoughts? And you're gonna get what is on the mind right there at that moment. There's no. I'm not doing fucking research. Even this guy that sent this whole big thing in. I spent 3 minutes pulling on the threads. I like to pull on the threads of a story because chances are it's inflated. It's inflated. There's issues with the story. So I'll just read this to you. He says, now I got to ask.
Hold on. This was on the prison reform.
Yeah, prison reform one.
This was in
Airsoft.
This is in response to me saying I was in prison with a dude doing 13 years who almost killed a federal park ranger, raped and killed. Mm-hmm. Compared to another dude I was in prison with doing 30 years for airplane and a load of weed. It was a small, it was a lot of weed, and he said, I said victimless crime. He goes, no, it's not a victim, and that's what this is in response to.
So he's like, now I got to ask, if the guy that flew the plane load of weed committed a victimless crime, what about the 144,000 plus Americans killed in the drug war? In the drug wars during the period of 2011 through 2017 alone.
Are we considering those killed gang members in Compton? I mean, who were those Americans? Where were they?
No, he's Mexican.
So we lost that many in Mexico.
American
citizens. Yeah.
Not American citizens, Mexican citizens.
Oh, I thought he said American.
Yeah, okay. It's Mexican citizens. Victimless crime.
They killed that many fucking last month.
And that doesn't count the drug-funded gang violence in the U.S. Okay, so the first part of that. Okay, so John was talking about he was actually comparing someone who raped and almost murdered someone to someone who flew a plane of marijuana in. Okay.
which is now about to be legal.
The sentencing, what we're talking about is the sentencing guidelines have not been reformed in 30 years. So someone who's getting busted with a pound of marijuana, it's getting treated like it's 1934, and we're gonna fucking, he's done. He's gonna spend the rest of his life in jail for a pound of marijuana. But I hack up my pregnant wife, I'm getting 15 years. Because that's the sentencing guidelines for right this minute. So we're just talking about reforming sentencing guidelines. And that's going to come in a minute when you're complaining about a bunch of other stuff in here. But here's the thing about that first sentence. The 144,000 Mexicans that have been killed in the drug war. It is terrible what is going on in Mexico as far as all the people that are being affected and killed. But all of these people are somehow connected to the drug syndicate anyways. Now, that's probably not an excuse for killing all these people, but the thing that you need to understand is we, the United States of America, are the reason why all these people are getting killed. Not because we're smuggling drugs. Not because you got a bunch of people in fucking in Beverly Hills that want to do cocaine. That's not why all these people are getting killed. These people are getting killed because, as a covert operation, we have created a power vacuum in Mexico. We have done this on purpose because we knew what the results would be. That the hierarchy would start killing each other off because we created this power vacuum. This is the only reason why all those people are getting killed. It's because of the power vacuum that we created. That's why everybody's getting killed. We destabilized the cartels to the point where these guys are not fighting in the street over getting a pound of cocaine to the United States. They're fighting in the streets and killing each other to decide who will be in charge of getting a pound of cocaine to the United States. The cocaine is coming because you have rich people that want the cocaine. So it's coming to the United States. It's just who's going to provide that service. Through the years and years of drug war that had not worked at all, it's not worked at all, we finally came up with a plan, and that was to destabilize the cartels and make them fight amongst each other. That's why 144,000 Mexicans were killed between 2011 and 2017. Not because they were bringing marijuana to the United States. So to compare that, to throw that up there as if we created that. We did.
That number seems low too.
Yeah, it probably is low because more people have been killed. More people have been killed there than in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we created that power vacuum. It's got nothing to do with drugs in the sense anything other than all they're doing is arguing over who's going to bring the drugs to the United States. Because why? Because we consume those drugs. We consume them. The dude that's flying the airplane, he got busted because there was somebody in Malibu that wanted to smoke some pot. Plain and simple. So, as far as the drug war thing, that's on us. We did that shit, not the Mexicans. And gang violence, funding gang violence. Gangs have been around since the first group of people walked across the ice to get to North America. We are tribal. Okay, it's the reason why you have all these. It's the reason why you have all these crazy people up in Oregon right now fighting each other on the streets. It's the tribes. They're fighting. There's always going to be gangs. How those gangs respond to the economic structure that we create, it's just if we make all drugs legal tomorrow, we say what we're going to do is we're going to tax all those drugs and you can do whatever you want. The gangs will still be there. Illegal pot is still being sold in Colorado. Crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to think that somebody would rather buy illegal pot than state sanctioned pot. It's always going to be a part of society. We as human beings are addicted to whatever that may be. We all have addictions. So it's ridiculous to think that somehow we're affecting whether or not Butters is going to smoke some pot in the back of a van at the high school.
What if you could legalize weed,
Qualified.
tax weed, put something in the weed to keep the people from smoking the weed to be able to reproduce? Like, that'd be a great movie.
Yeah, it would be a great movie.
Great
Agenda
movie.
21. I mean, of course there's going to be illegal fucking
Let's get Mark Wahlberg or somebody.
So, you know, truth of the matter, I'm not. There are really victimless crimes. When you talk about taxpayers paying for, look, the jails are going to be there because there are people out there that do really heinous shit. Yet we let those people out, and we keep people in jail that fucking sold. We keep people in jail that sold single cigarettes. Really? They're taking them out of pack and they're selling single cigarettes. New York City killed a dude over that. Over single cigarettes. It's about having reform on your laws and making your laws make sense. Okay? I'm not saying let everybody out. I'm not saying let everybody out. And Skully Escalderon, is not saying legalize all drugs. I'm just telling you to think about it. I don't do drugs. I'm not part of the drug scene. I think if we legalize all drugs, it's going to create problems in the United States worse than we ever had. But I may be completely wrong. So you just have to think about that kind of stuff. Because, you know, when you talk about taxpayers have to cover the cost of housing inmates and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. If you do prison reform, if you do drug reform in the sense of hey, fuck it. Let's make all drugs legal and just tax the shit out of them. Then those inmates, those people that we're talking about that are in jail for providing a service that some fucking millionaire wants at his next party can leave jail and start a productive life. Maybe he's going to get out and become a fucking doctor, a fucking astronaut. Who knows? You don't know this because you've got people locked up in jail for extended periods of time over stuff that, what do we got, like 8 states now that have completely legalized it? So it's ridiculous. Let's see. That's that part.
Did you read it all?
Unless Michigan's the newest one, not Hawthorne.
Legal and tax. So would have. Yeah, I mean you can legalize marijuana and then just tax it, and then you poor taxpayer will not have to fund the federal prisons that are locking up all these people forever. So crisis averted. I mean.
Isn't that what, didn't he go on to say that he had to pay for my prison stay? Is that what he said?
Well, he said his taxes.
His taxes.
His taxes had to pay for your prison stay.
Motherfucker, I paid more in taxes while I was in prison than you made the whole fucking that decade. I promise you. Like, while I was in prison, I paid more in taxes than you fucking made. Look that shit up if you don't believe me. It's all public record.
You know, when you talk about prison reform, drug reform, you know, and how evil these people are that are doing drugs or they're smuggling drugs in the United States, the reality is you're not living in the real world. Remember what I said? Get out of the bubble. The biggest crisis we have in the United States right now is a legal opioid addiction. That is the biggest crisis.
Legal
opioid addiction. People getting prescriptions from doctors who are willing to give them fucking 100 pills or whatever they need. Doctors knowing.
There's a fucking really good comment on one of the videos about that exactly.
Doctors knowing that this person is a pill popper and continuing to give the pills away. Why? The same reason you have a poor farmer in Mexico decide to burn up his fucking crop of corn and start growing marijuana. Because we have an addiction problem. That doctor's he's just making money. That's all it is. Every time those pills go out, he's making money. You've got a county in West Virginia that received 52,000 more opioid pills than could possibly be consumed in that county.
Was that Boone County or somewhere?
I don't know where it's at, but
Call it the Boone County mating call, shaking a bottle of pills.
Jeez.
That's your real crisis. Your real crisis is a federally regulated drug that is destroying communities all across the United States. What happens? What happens when you can't fucking get? What happens when they can't get their pills anymore? They go to heroin. So
which is a derivative of anyways.
you give them these drugs, and then you say, "Oh fuck it, you can't have them anymore because you're an addict." Well, what do you think they're going to do? We're not providing any services for these people to get clean. I mean, I understand somebody who's an addict. The truth be told is you can't force Butters to be clean. Butters has to want to be clean. He has to go to a program. He has to spend the time and the energy to get clean. I get that, but the money's not there because the money is being lined in pockets. Your legislators are fucking lining their pockets. Big Pharma is paying them millions and millions of dollars to keep the status quo. But that's all drug stuff. There's a lot of complaining about taxes. I hope you're a Republican. Vote out your Democrats because they want to tax you even more. The question, and here's the thing about taxes. The question is never, should we tax you? That's not the question. Should they be able to take taxes out of your paycheck to build a road or build a school? That's not the question. The question you should be asking yourselves is, are they using the tax money the way we intended it to? If you go to California, if you live in California, you got 20 years ago they said, hey, we're gonna do a gas tax to help create better roads. They ain't spend none of that money on the roads. You guys probably have some of the shittiest roads in the country. Because why? Because they took that money out, they put it in their own little rainy day fund, and they spend it on whatever they want. It's usually to line their pockets. Ask why Dianne Feinstein is one of the richest people in the United States. Because she's lining her pockets. Plain and simple. Lining her fucking pockets. So you really should be asking yourself is not how much it costs to house an inmate. You should be asking yourself, are they using my tax dollars the way they were supposed to be intended to? That's all. I mean, I hate to bash on California, but California, you really suck. California got everybody to legalize gambling. And when I say legalize gambling, they put the lottery out there in the state of California. Hey, let's have a fucking state lottery. We're going to make a bunch of money. And you know what we're going to do with that money? We're going to give it to schools. That is the best idea you ever had. But what you didn't know, because you didn't read the fine print, right here, down here, is for every dollar that the lottery gave, the state was going to take $1 out of what they gave, so they could put it in their pocket. So they didn't increase the budgets for schools. The lottery's not helping schools get air conditioners or getting underprivileged kids pencils. It's not doing that. The lottery is basically funding the schools so the representatives can take the tax dollars that you pay, to make sure the school stays open, and they can put it in their pocket
Because of pensions.
and spend it on something else. That's the reality of, when you talk about all this taxpayer bullshit, you really ought to be fucking looking into, are they spending your money right? Are they spending, not even right. Like, let's talk about, not even right. Let's talk about the Air Force buying a $5,000 hammer. If I specifically was asked for a tax increase because the Air Force needs hammers, and they buy hammers, that's a start. That at least is a start. Most of your tax dollars go to nothing that you were originally told they were going to pay for. It goes to other things. It goes to special programs. It goes to things that have nothing to do with why you're paying your taxes. That's really where the reform needs to be. But anyways, enough on taxes. We were talking about this guy. In here he's like, let's see. Go past victimless crime, taxpayers have to cover. Taxpayer has to cover who chooses to commit a crime. I got you. If you choose to commit a crime, there should be a time. But that time needs to be relative to the crime. You got people that are, like I said, they're doing heinous things, and they're getting very little time. And then you got a dude, like I said, selling single cigarettes, and he actually got the death penalty. So the time needs to be about the crime. Let's see, housing inmates, serious consequence. and then there's the whole argument about changing jobs. He goes on in here and talks about all the jobs he had, and he's mad because John said something about if you have 10 things on your resume, there's probably a problem there. Once again, I don't know your specific circumstances.
This is a motherfucker that said he did 21 years. Like
I'll get it. I don't know your specific circumstances and what's going on in your little bubble.
As long as you change up, as long as it's for the better.
But the reality is, you're not looking outside your bubble. If you looked outside your bubble, you would realize that somebody who's had 50 jobs over the course of their lifetime is probably not a good employee. It's probably not the guy you want to hire. I mean, you give some stuff. So, like right here, it says, I'm a 21... Hear what I'm saying. I'm a 21-year veteran Army paratrooper with over 7 years in SOCOM. So, all right there, you're just putting your dick resume out, right? You're just trying to build up who you are. Like, that makes a difference. You're not in the military anymore. When I retired,
and there's a lot of supply.
And he says, when I retired, I had to take a $9 an hour job. Okay.
Those are choices.
Here's the problem. Well, it's not even a choice. Here's the problem with that. Okay, the problem that I have with it. The problem I have with it was, so you were in the Army for 21 years and you retired. That means you get a retirement check. You say you're an Army paratrooper with over 7 years in SOCOM, which means you probably not only get a retirement check, but you also get a disability check. You also get a disability check. You also get, I'm not going to say free because it's not free. I get it. You get medical. But the premium that you pay compared to what the rest of the United States pay, you get free medical. You get free medical. That premium you pay is nothing compared to what everybody else in the United States pays a month.
While we're on the medical thing, when the insurance thing happened, my insurance jumped literally overnight just for myself and Cody for a catastrophic plan that we have never used. It's $2,200 a month for insurance that the government said I had to have and maintain. Literally, just catastrophic. Car accident, helicopter flight, trauma center. That's all that shit covered. It doesn't, all my testosterone, any of my labs, I pay for that shit. My insurance doesn't fucking cover that. Anytime I've actually gone and seen a doctor was out of my pocket. $2,200 a month for myself and my son. That doesn't even include Amanda's policy or Sebastian's policy, none of that. That was just me and Cody, $2,200. So there's some fucking numbers for you.
You know, the other thing, so you retired at 21, if you retired at 21 years, you had to be no less than an E7. No less than an E7. So if you were a shitbird while you were in the Ranger Battalion and a shitbird while you were at SOCOM, you were probably an E7. Chances are, if you did all that stuff for 21 years, E8, E9, that changes everything. Now you're talking about $4,000 a month. That changes everything. And I'm just spitballing here at your numbers because you immediately. So let's just say you were an E7, for argument's sake. Maybe you're a shitbird like me. You're E7, retired E7 at 21 years in the Army at SOCOM. I'm sure it's possible if you want it to be. I don't know anyone who was a real dude, and was a real dude at SOCOM that has got out of either the Army or the Marine Corps and went and worked at a $9 an hour job. So I would assume that was by choice, that you chose to take that $9 an hour job. You say you had to take it, which makes me wonder about your retirement. Did you not get your benefits? You haven't gone to the VA. What's wrong with you? I mean, when you total up your work history, you're talking about some 31 years. So I'm assuming you're a little bit older. If you're a little bit older, then you should know that you have all these other benefits. Go to the VA and you will get these benefits that you should already have because it was part of your.
And they'll pay you all the years you didn't fucking get it.
And it was part of your separation. It was part of your separation from the Army. You had to go through that you had to go through that class on the benefits that you could receive. And so, I mean, I get this. Yeah, you worked at a couple of jobs and you got fired. I mean, I'm sorry. You got laid off because of the economy or whatever. It happens, but you're still only talking about 3 jobs. We're talking about people that are in their fucking early 30s that have 15 jobs on their application, that have 15 jobs on their resume. We're not talking about somebody with 3 or 4 jobs that have been working 30 years. That's completely different than what we were talking about. So, yeah, so you really need to look at your benefits. The other thing, you said this bullshit about it. It's more cost effective to keep a corporal in uniform than it is to keep somebody in jail. If you look at basic numbers, you might be right. Meaning, if you're talking about how much it costs to feed a corporal, how much it costs to house a corporal, how much it costs to clothe a corporal. If you take all the benefits off the top of it, maybe it is cheaper to keep a corporal in uniform. But when you put all the benefits on top of a corporal, it's not cheaper to keep a corporal in the military than it is to fucking. It's not cheaper to keep a corporal in the military than it is to keep somebody in prison. Prison is one of the cheapest places to keep people, even though the price keeps going up and up and up and up. But that once again has to do with your legislators. The reason why it costs so much to keep somebody in prison is because of your legislators, because of the things that they are doing to keep people in jail. The minute you privatize anything, so when you talk about a federal program like that, when you privatize it, you're going to automatically increase the cost. It doesn't become cheaper, it becomes more expensive. Because the company that runs those jails has to make a profit. So you didn't make it cheaper for you. And that's all part of the scam. That's what I'm talking about those guys lining their pockets. It's all part of the scam. Those senators and congressmen, they voted for that shit to put people in civilian-run prisons that are not federally regulated. They are federally regulated, I'm sorry, but civilian-run prisons, they voted for that stuff. They're allowing a profit-for-prison system, okay? And it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. I know, Democrat, they've all voted for it. The reason why you have so many people in jail right now is because of what Clinton did. Clinton was the one that did the sentence reforms during his presidency that put all these people in jail. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that bullshit about Democrat and Republican, they're all lining their pockets. They're all becoming rich. It's just how they're doing it. Go get your benefits. You shouldn't have to be working a $9 an hour job as a retired E8 from the Army. I don't understand what you're doing with your money. Let's see. So, I mean, that's basically the takeaway of all that stuff. He finishes with take care of your. He finishes with, I wish we gave a fuck. I wish we gave as much fuck about criminals as we do. Or I wish we gave a fuck as much about criminals as we do old people. Meaning, we don't really take care of old people. I'm assuming that this individual who sent this in is probably early 60s. I mean, I'm going off of your job history. I'm assuming this person's in early 60s. You probably didn't make good financial decisions while you were in the military, because you should have had a 401k, and if you were putting 8% of your money in that 401k the entire time you were in, you should have a pretty good little nest egg, because the 401k is protected by those savages in Congress and the Senate, so it's always going to make money. So you should have a pretty good nest egg, not to mention the retirement check that you get every month, the disability check you get every month, and the free medical. So you should be doing all right. But I'm assuming by this little lash out for elderly rights, you're not doing well, which is probably choices. I mean, we all make choices. Honestly, I am here working at this shop with John because he's a sweetheart, but because I have addictions. My retirement will not cover the amount of guns I want to buy.
Let's point out to you, whoever did this, whoever wrote this, you made a brand new fake account with a fake fucking name. You have nothing else on your account. You took all the time to author and create this account, to write this shit, because you wanted to remain secret. Like, you believe in what you're saying so little that you want to attach your real name to it. Here's another one. This one's pretty good. Hold on, Grandpa.
Because I have addictions,
Watch your hip.
so I got to buy guns.